I just saw a guy jogging down the sidewalk, and it made me think, okay, this person wants to get their cardio better, right? They want to improve their cardiovascular fitness, so they're out here going for a jog. And since you can get cardiovascular improvements from lifting weights, this gentleman obviously feels like he's not getting that, right? So what should he be doing in order to get that effect, that cardiovascular effect? Why does going for a jog give you that sensation that you're actually working your body and your muscles? Well, let's think about it. So for one, it's low intensity and you're doing it for minutes on end, right? You're finally getting your heart rate up, doing muscular contractions for minutes on end. His gym training probably doesn't do that, right? His gym training probably does a set, takes about 20 seconds, not all out, right? Leave 2 reps in reserve. Don't train too hard, right? And then he stops and rests for 3 minutes and does that over and over again, right? So he's not getting that stimulus from his gym training, so he's out here going for a run. The bottom line is this: yes, you want your training or muscle contractions that you're doing to take long enough to give you those cardiovascular benefits, right? Now, does that mean they need to go on for minutes on end when you go for a jog? What's the shortest amount of time that you could still get good and decent and excellent cardiovascular improvements from, right? Think about that. So if we're thinking about this, is it 15 minutes continuous? Is it 10 minutes? Is it 5 minutes? Is it 1 minute, right? What duration is the minimum to actually get you the most benefits? And I believe that can be done in 2 minutes or less. I believe you can stimulate your aerobic system, your anaerobic system, all of it, your cardiovascular endurance, what that guy was doing, going for a jog. I believe you can sum all that up and going really hard for under 2 minutes, for probably between 45 seconds, a minute to 2 minutes. So, you have a choice to make. Are you going to continue lifting how you're lifting and go for runs your whole life? I had to make that choice. I had to decide, wait, I want to be fit on all ends of the spectrum. What am I going to do? Am I going to keep lifting weights and going for runs my whole life, doing both? Probably risking injury with the running, right? I've made the choice to modify my weight training so that I can get those benefits and the weight training stimulus at the same time. And that's why I recommend what I recommend, training how I do, which is a high intensity training approach with a moderate weight taken to muscular failure between 60 to 120 seconds, right? Once again, you can go for jogs. It's probably not going to kill you, right? It is going to increase your risk of injury and wear and tear in your lower body because of the repetitive nature of running. And it's mostly going to carry over to running. It's not going to carry over to cycling. It's not going to carry over to swimming or playing tennis or whatever, wrestling, right? You have to do those exact things to get the carryover to those. So at the end of the day, if you are deciding that, hey, I'm not getting the cardiovascular endurance that I want to have, I recommend you just tweak your weight training a little bit, right? That's what I recommend. Because this way you can get those cardiovascular adaptations into all the muscles of your entire body. That's the best benefits that you can get. Wouldn't doing the minimum duration of time be the most time effective for you? If you got the same results training for 3 minutes as you do training for 30 and training for an hour, going for these runs, these jogs for an hour or 30 minutes, right? If you get those same results in 5 minutes, would you take it? First, you have to believe it's possible to get those results in 5 minutes. And then you have to decide to put forth that effort in those hard 5 minutes. But guess what? You just saved yourself 30 minutes. You just saved yourself an hour The other guy out there is still running. He thinks he has to do an hour a day. You and I understand that's not true, and that you can get the results in far less time, far less wear and tear on your body. That's why I profess for you to train with weights, because you can target each muscle directly. And when you take those muscles directly in 90 seconds to failure, you do what that same guy did, or more. You do more than what that guy did on this jog, right? It was harder than that guy. See, that's the one thing I love about training with a high intensity, is that high intensity can carry over to lower intensity work. But it's not true the other way around. Low intensity work, easy jogging, leaving a bunch of reps in reserve, it's not going to carry over to lifting harder, running faster. So high intensity carries over better to low intensity work than low intensity does to high. So that's why it's still best bang for your buck to train with a high intensity, with a high effort at whatever it is you do. And then when it comes to having low intensity days, if that's something you really want to do, make sure it's very low intensity, because you don't want it to interfere with the adaptations you're trying to gain from your high intensity training, or from your weight training, or from your sport training. So even if you're in a sport and you run cross country and track, I recommend training really hard on your hard days, on your hard workout days. But then on the days off or the days in between, go easy, very easy. So if you're going to go for a run like that, I suggest you first check your weight training, right? Check your weight training routine. Ask yourself, is my weight training routine giving me the cardiovascular improvements that I want to see? And in what way do you want to see these improvements? Do you want to see them in running? Are you going to sign up for a race and test yourself with that? Is it just a feeling that you have inside of you throughout the day that you feel like you have endurance to do whatever you want, right? These are different things, and you want to make sure that you're spending your time wisely. So I would not recommend going for jogs, spending time doing a lot of easy, low-intensity work when you can get that work in a shorter amount of time in the gym. That's what training hard is all about. There's research studies to back this up. Research studies showing people doing cycling intervals on a bike for 1 minute hard, and doing that 3 times, twice a week, and then another group doing an hour and a half a day, 4 days a week. And they had the same exact times to exhaustion in an endurance test. So it's important to understand that, or else you're going to keep thinking that you need to put in all that low intensity work, because experts out there keep trying to tell you that they're different, right? Low intensity is different than high intensity. Low intensity trains your aerobic system. High intensity trains your anaerobic system. Blah, 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 blah. Look, these systems work together. They are interconnected. They are both intertwined and will be used according to how your body is demanding for energy. So you can't separate them like that. They're on at the same times. If they're not, just hold your breath, right? Hold your breath. If it's purely anaerobic and there's no aerobic part of this at all, just hold your breath the whole time. But you're not going to do that, right? Because it still requires an aerobic energy source. But I just hope that that guy jogging doesn't believe that he doesn't believe that him going out here jogging easy is going to directly target his heart and lungs and his cardiovascular system, because it's not. And that's a lie that people have been putting out there, that idea that train easy to get special benefits. It's not special. Unless your race is jogging really easy, like a marathon for somebody who's a recreational runner or something like that, sure, then it becomes specific. But for everybody else, it's not specific enough, and it's not worth your time.